Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Ultimate Doctor Who Marathon. This is the show where I take a look at every classic Doctor Who story, plus a bunch of big finished audio dramas, one episode a day, for 7 days a week. And today, on the 3rd of June, 2018, we are starting the story that brought Doctor Who into its 10th anniversary season, the 10th anniversary special, the season opener for series season 10, The Three Doctors, starting with, of course, episode 1. Now, The Three Doctors, what I find interesting is that, whereas many stories would have probably done the inclusion of the first two Doctors as an episode 1 cliffhanger, we actually get them to appear right in the middle of the episode, which, if I'm going to be brutally honest, works extremely well. It makes you have a lot of time with the Doctors and helps share up their screen time equally, so all three of them sort of make it. Of course, the first Doctor's appearance is limited because William Hartnell was quite ill at the time, and he had difficulty, just with acting, and it was only through the fact that through rewriting the script, so he appears in pre-recorded inserts, recorded before the main recording, that the first Doctor was actually able to appear. But I am glad that we at least got all three Doctors back together to have their own story, that just builds itself up, and as it basically that it's able to tell its own story, and essentially be there to have. Essentially, it gives us a good story, a good intriguing beginning. We start, of course, away from unit where a Dr. Tyler is working with a man called Alice on a weather balloon. He goes to see him, and suddenly he just disappears. So, of course, what does Dr. Tyler do when a man disappears? He goes and contacts Eunice, because this is a disappearance. Plus, there have been a bunch of weird readings. It seems that something has been traveling faster than light, which is, that's kind of interesting. Like, it's impossible to travel faster than light. Seriously, what could you possibly, how does this work? Like, it's, that's not something that you see every day. Like, things don't really travel faster than light. It's, they generally go up to light. They don't even travel at light speed. The only thing that really travels light speed is, light. So we have this interesting, this interest of, what are we talking about? Do we have everything? Do we have everything quite right, or are we just going crazy? So, and with this scene with Dr. Tyler going to unit, we get something that's actually really, really kind of quite funny, in the fact that the Brigadier gets angry at Dr. Tyler because they're supposed to be a top secret security organization. They don't just open their facilities to everyone. And the Doctor and Joe, of course, are the ones that immediately decide to go to investigate. They leave the room. The Brigadier leaves the room. Dr. Tyler gets out another reading, which shows Alice's face. Randomly his face in the readings. And that means that the Doctor, that means that the Doctor has, the Doctor doesn't have Tyler to work on, so this creature disappears. The Doctor and Joe go out to the forest preserve, can't really figure out where Alice is. They go back, and this sort of creature, which it's sort of like a green screen effect, and it's a pretty decently done green screen effect, attacks the Doctor and Joe and Bessie, makes Bessie disappear, and then into the drain and slowly makes the lab disappear. As well, outside of unit, these weird gelatin-looking creatures just start to pop up everywhere, and with that causes them, well, that causes the Doctor and Joe, that causes unit to continue shooting at these creatures, but then but as that continues, you get more of a you get what's essentially is the Doctor receding into the TARDIS, which is when we hear, well, it turns out this is also affecting the Time Lords, and we are dealing with a black hole that is sending light, trying to attack the Doctor. So, well, that gets the second Doctor in, which gives a great scene. You already have the second and third Doctors bickering with each other because, well, they aren't exactly close friends. They don't really like each other's appearance, and they fight with each other quite a bit. Like, that's where a lot of the story comes from. And then this fighting with each other leads to the Time Lords getting the first Doctor back onto the screen, and makes them realize, look, guys, well, one, you're my replacement's a dandy and a clown, because sort of making fun of his new incarnations, and then is like, hey, it's a bridge, so cross it. So the second Doctor flips a coin, the third Doctor loses, he runs out, Joe runs out with him, the creature flashes, and they disappear. And that's the cliffhanger. And it's a really good cliffhanger. All of the cliffhanger works because it's like, we don't know where they went. We don't even know if they survived. Like, that was always a risk, which is sort of why the Doctor didn't want Joe to come along with him. And, that caused, that causes quite a lot of, that causes something quite creepy. So you have the Doctor disappearing with that, and that's the end of the episode. And it's a really good conclusion. So much so that I'm going to give the Three Doctors episode 1 an 8 out of 10, because the beginning sort of drags on just a little bit too much, but by the end there, you get yourself really, really invested in the story. Alright, it is still the 3rd of June 2018, and I just finished watching episode 2 of The Three Doctors. This episode, well, it's a bit interesting because, of course, we've quickly established after the cliffhanger reprise that the Doctor and Joe have been transported to some other alternate dimension, pocket universe thing. In, well, what's essentially the world of antimatter. Mainly sort of the opposite of matter, which gets a pretty big explanation as things have to work to have things working in antimatter. You have to have it so that you do the opposite of what you would do if you're using regular matter. It's a bit confusing, but it's not confusing enough so much that you really don't understand what's going on. It makes sense in the explanations that are given in the story, like that. Yeah, this is a universe where we don't necessarily live by our rules, and it also turns out that everything that really has everything that has been disappeared from the first episode has shown up here. Mr. Alice is there, Dr. Tyler is there, and what's Dr. Tyler's reaction to being there is actually quite funny. Why? Because, well, his initial reaction is he does the scientist thing of like, okay, what happened? Let me try to work through this and figure out what's going on, why I'm here, how I got here, why I got here, what brought me here. It's these little, it's the little things that really, it's the little things that really give the episode its meaning, and it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense, with things being things being sort of the reverse of what initially is thought to have been what they are. Like it's not as crystal clear of black and white of yes, it's this. No, it's more of this is potentially that this is that this is this, but it's not entirely this. Like I kind of know what I'm doing, but I also kind of don't. And the story really does a good job at that. You have quite a lot to deal with, like just with you have a lot for the story to build itself up around, and that Bob Baker and Dave Martin, they play around with this idea of antimatter, in that they have they're called Galgards in the credits, so that's what I'm going to refer them to. The blobs sort of lead them into a their own little cell, and it's their own little cell where a lot of this story, this episode itself, actually is taking place, mainly because, well, it's a cell where we have really we know what this is, we know where it's going, and we know that that we are allowed to look at it and get everything to come together to be this complete, like, this whole thing. Like it's not entirely explained perfectly well, but it's enough to be like, yes, this is where we're going with the story. Whereas on on Earth, you have you have the story continuing on, like it's building itself up, like it's generally one of those things where you know that you have everything that that everything really really goes on to have it goes on to be a full to be a full story. You have the brigadier realizes that, hey, that this you're the doctor who used to be that used to be on the that used to be on that it used to be on the story, like the doctor used to be back in the Troughton era, which is great. Um, um, as the story continues on, but you really don't get too much of that. And the big ending is just the cliffhanger is getting the doctor, the getting unit people through the portal. Which so that's really the only problem. But this episode is still great. Like all the interactions with all the characters are great. Benton is great. Everything's just it's really really good. So I'm going to give the Three Doctors episode 2 a 9 out of 10. Alright, it is the 4th of June 2018, and I just finished watching episode 3 of The Three Doctors. This is an episode where, well, things, we actually really get an explanation of who the villain of this one is. Mainly it is the character of Omega. Omega is one of the founders of Time Lord Society. This is basically an episode where we sort of peel back some of the layers of Time Lord mythology, and we have the idea of Omega being this great founder. He created a stellar manipulator, and he went into a black hole, which allowed the Time Lords, well, it allowed them to time travel. They have their chance now. They can go on and see the universe and things, and see it for what it's worth. It's the universe is now their plaything. They get to go around and on the adventures. But Omega doesn't. Omega has been in exile the entire time in this universe of antimatter, and that's sort of turned him into a complete and to have a complete sense of paranoia. He doesn't like his predicament. He wants to leave. He wants to be out among his own people. He wants his own. He essentially wants his own life back, and well, he's not gonna get it. He's kind of a tragic villain. The two doctors try to help any way that they can. They offer to, even though they are captured. Like a lot of this episode is just running around from being captured in one place to being captured in another place, and that's all fine and good for the episode itself. But the meat of the story is within the dialogue. You still have Omega draining power from the Time Lords because he wants to get back. He thinks that having two Time Lords, this could be the chance. And what he does is he doesn't immediately trust the two doctors. He locks them up. So much, and while locking them up, it takes it takes the both doctors working together. They're working together as a through their mind, through their minds, and and they telepathically try to create a door to escape because they're trapped with Joe. So and they decide we're gonna have to go to the point of they have they have their time. They want to get Joe out of everything because they're all sort of stuck together. So they realize that this whole universe is built on just the whole idea of the black hole, and because of this black hole, you have the doctors. They go and they see the area. They see that everything is, everything is there. And they walk into this sort of cave and notice that, there's this point where like the singularity is, and they think, oh, if we can just destroy this, then maybe we'll be fine. Of course, it doesn't work out that way, because then then Omega shows up and demands that the third Doctor mentally fight his darker side in one of the oddest cliffhangers. It's a good cliffhanger. The cliffhanger, it works pretty well, and as a cliffhanger, it looks about right. It looks nice, and but it's a very, very weird weird way to end the episode, because while you already have this build up to stuff, and it's the stuff building up to the stuff just sort of stops it, like, weird. It's a weird cliffhanger. I don't have anything bad to say about it. You also have the Brigadier and the Brigadier and the and Dr. Tyler and Mr. Alice all sort of where everyone all sorts is sort of like they're all sort of there, but and they're sort of hunting around, and they're the ones that actually open the doors and help Joe and Dr. Tyler escape while the Doctor is there being being again attacked by Omega's mind. Again, something that one is something that's just really weird. Like, that's just the one really weird thing about this episode. I don't know if I can quite get behind it, because it's there. Obviously they're saving the answers, but yeah, the episode is just really good. Like, it's a really good episode. It's a good, solid episode. It has we got a threatening villain. We get some interesting dives into Time Lord mythology, and we have a chance to again see the Doctors interact. I'll give the Three Doctors episode 3 a 10 out of 10. Alright, it is the 5th of June, 2018, and I just finished watching the final part of The Three Doctors, where, well, we go out, and the story goes out in style, with the two Doctors putting their heads together, along with a little help from William Hartnell's first Doctor, to, well, figure out how Omega can be defeated easily enough, without and as well as tricking him into, well, letting them all go. The episode starts off really well with a bunch of tension built up around the fact, like, that Omega might not actually, Omega, he's kind of totally bitter, based off of his time at the universe, and he wants the two Doctors essentially to replace him in his exile, which is something that they're reluctantly willing to do. I think mainly because he promises that he'll let their friends go if he promises, not to, if they promise to, just let him, if they promise to let him out and take his place, something that, it's a noble sacrifice. And there is a minute there where you think, this might be the end of it all, because you think the Doctors might screw up their timeline so much, and by having to, keep with the, keep themselves with Omega, and how, just sort of everything is, how Omega is, still in charge. They'll be able to, give him the release that he needs, and hopefully leave everything with a, you know, with a real, um, you know, everything had to, he really had to keep himself alive, and it's something that the story, by the end of the story, you do feel sad for him. He basically is like, well, you'll have to fashion these masks, take it off because I want to be out of here, because, just to protect yourself from the corrosion of the black hole radiation, which, well, it's kind of funny, because then you get the reveal that, oh my goodness, well, he's not all there, like, and by that I mean, literally, he is not there completely. He is just, he is completely invisible. Like, he's only living on will alone, which, well, this causes him to lose complete control with himself, as if I can't be out, I may as well, and because this is, I'm free to do whatever, whatever happens, in this world, I'm going to be the one to destroy it. So, well, he starts to set out to destroy everything, so then the two doctors just run away. They get into the TARDIS, turn on the force field with everyone else following suit, of course, causing the reader to have his moment of, how the TARDIS is bigger on the inside. This is the first time the reader's actually seen the inside of the TARDIS, which is, well, something that is, really, really interesting. Like, that, they didn't have, this, the TARDIS. They had, he's never seen it. So, with that, being said, it's built up to essentially, they have a teleconference, and then they find that, because the second Doctor has been going on for quite a bit about his missing recorder, which is, if I'm going to be totally honest, this is just a bit weird. It's been kept in the sort of the back of your mind, because you have the image that, okay, his recorder's missing. That's interesting. It fell into the force field, so it wasn't actually converted from matter to antimatter when they went through the bridge. So the doctors say, right, we will take over. We will stay with you, Omega, if you promise to let our friends go. So everyone leaves, and then, well, they bring out the recorder. They make Omega lose control. They drop the recorder, causing a massive explosion. But when matter and antimatter meet, causing, of course, the explosion to happen. That was, that then gets, that takes everyone back, and, well, crisis averted. The Time Lords get their energy back. Both doctors, everyone's put back in place. Mr. Alice tells his wife, "You'd never believe where I went," as a way to end the story. And then we get the Doctor receiving his dematerialization circuit back. The exile is over. The exile to Earth, which has been a part of all of John Pertwee's stories, from Spearhead in Space to this story, is now over. He is now free. He is now free to go, and go on to basically explore the universe. And I mean, of course, he's not going to leave quite yet, because he's still got to fix the force field and install the dematerialization circuit. But he gets to be off. Like, you have this amazing ending. Everything ends happily, and because of that, I'm going to give the Three Doctors episode 4 another 10 out of 10, because it's an upbeat ending. It satisfying the conclusion, and it proves that we have a really good 10th anniversary special. That, of course, leaves us with averaging the score of all episodes of the Three Doctors to give the Three Doctors a final score of 9.25 out of 10. Thank you, everybody, for watching this episode of the Ultimate Doctor Who Marathon. Please, of course, leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Please share your opinions in the comment section. And please join me next time when we take a look at the first story outside of the exile with Carnival of Monsters.